Joining us now, we've got Republican strategist Alex Zdan and Democratic strategist Mally Smith. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us.
Morning.
Thank you.
All right, Alex, I'm going to start with you. We're going to begin in Oklahoma there, Republican gubernatorial primary happening, and Attorney General Gentner Grumman and financial advisor Mike Mazzei are neck and neck in the polls, but Mazzei carries the president's endorsement. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what former RNC chairwoman Ronna McDaniel says about it.
Drummond, if you look at his website, even though he doesn't have Trump's endorsement, it is plastered with President Trump. I have to believe that the Trump endorsed candidate Mazzei is going to win as well. He's endorsed by the former governor.
All right, Alex, do you agree? And how much value does a Trump endorsement carry in this race in particular? His record's been pretty good.
Trump endorsement in Oklahoma? What do you think? It carries a very high value. President Trump is very popular in Oklahoma. Certainly, like you said, the polls are showing that this is neck and neck. But I think at the end of the day, the Trump endorsement is going to carry weight in Oklahoma that it may not in other states, because the Trump endorsement gets voters out. These are low turnout August elections in a primary. You need your base to come out. That base comes out for President Trump, especially in a state like Oklahoma.
Yeah, and when he was in Myrtle Beach, he was in front of a crowd and telling everybody, and you got to imagine he wasn't just speaking to those South Carolina voters, but to everybody. You got to pretend like I'm on the ballot, he kept saying. Mally, it's been over a decade since a Democrat has been governor of Oklahoma, and Democratic candidate Representative Cindy Munson telling NewsNation she thinks she can win over Republican voters in Oklahoma. Listen here.
The Republicans have cut revenue from our state budget. They continue to cut from public education and healthcare. These are two things that I'm hearing about as I travel across the state, even in rural, deep red counties. Folks are showing up to my events and talking about these issues.
So, Mally, what does she need to do to try to get the wind at her back?
Well, I think she needs to do what Democrats are doing across the country, which is focus on affordability. President Trump ran on ending inflation on day one, and because of his policies, a war in Iran, tariffs, healthcare cuts, inflation has spiked. It was 4.2% a few months ago. It's 3.5%, all higher than what he inherited from President Biden. She needs to do that. Look, Oklahoma is going to be a reach. As an optimistic Democrat, I would love to think that we're going to have a really strong night and win Oklahoma. But I think on a strong night, even Oklahoma, we might come up a little short. But who knows? I'm an internal optimist.
And Alex, Mally saying, that Democrats need to be focusing on the economy. How do this trade war, this tariff war with Canada, how is that impacting things, and what do Republicans need to do?
We'll see what happens on September 8th, right? It's August. People aren't necessarily paying attention to the negotiations that are going on between Goldman Sachs guy Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, and the President of the United States. Obviously, Canada is our top trading partner. This is an important issue. I think President Trump wants to get this resolved before the midterms. But at the end of the day, people are going to be looking at what is the price of the food on their plate and what is the price of the electricity that's going into their house and the health care that they need. The Democrats have not articulated a coherent plan to bring down those prices. They like to scream a lot about President Trump. They like to talk a lot about impeachment and Israel. Where is the Democrat affordability plan that all of these candidates, whether they're DSA or moderate blue dog Dems, can stand behind? And I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of invective hurled at the president.
All right, let's go back to South Carolina. Alex, I'll stick with you. Mally, we'll get back to you in a second. As South Carolina voters cast their ballots on Tuesday, Trump's calling for MAGA loyalty, but the GOP is split, with many conservatives expressing concerns over Graham's lack of experience, and those concerns were really amplified after Graham stumbled through this national security debate question. Listen.
I'm just going to be honest here. I'm not on national security. I'm not that informed on national security, but I do support the military. I'm not a polished politician up here. National security is not my thing.
She's not just running for Senate. She is a senator right now. Is she able to recover from this? We've heard Darlene Graham go on another network and say, look, I'm an outsider. Don't you want an outsider? Will that spin work?
She's spinning it the best way she can, but that was brutal. If you are a United States senator, the relationship between the United States and the Chinese Communist Party, especially over the issue of Taiwan, is one of the most important foreign policy issues of our century. You need to be well-versed on that. This is where we're going to see the true value of a Trump endorsement. If President Trump can get MAGA loyalists to look past their doubts which began, by the way, when Senator Graham was appointed to replace her late brother with very little political experience. If the president can get them to look past those doubts and Darlene Graham can win this primary, we will truly see that the Trump endorsement is the gold standard.
Yeah, when President Trump is sticking by her. Mally, Vice President J.D. Vance is set to visit Maine on Monday, seeking to reelect Senator Susan Collins. And Collins' relationship with the administration has been strained, but can you talk about this political pairing and what's at stake to keep her in office?
Yeah, I mean, Susan Collins has a tough road. She has been a politician who's been able to survive a lot of close and tough elections. But with that being said, Maine is one of the few states in 2024 that didn't move as much to Trump as other states did. And this is going to be a national environment that is fairly blue if things stay the way they're looking at the moment. So I think Susan Collins needs to show she's an independent voice from the administration, while also not angering the Trump administration too much so they can still get GOP turnout. So that's a tough needle to thread. I think we'll win this election. But again, Susan Collins has survived a lot of tough elections. So I'll wait till election night to celebrate because I'm not counting that as a win at all.
Sure. Alex, I'll let you remind our viewers what's been happening in Maine. And also just noting this is the second time that Vice President Vance is visiting Maine in the past few months. And the Vice President also making stops in Ohio last week. So how could all of this support on the campaign trail be playing into a possible run for him for president in 2028?
I knew you would get to 2028. Listen. The vice president has been a very effective campaigner this cycle. He was back home in Ohio. He was literally behind the bar serving drinks, getting a little bit of the retail politician dust off his sleeves. This is a good move for the vice president. It's typical for the vice president to be out in front in any midterm and any large, significant general election campaign. So it's a good opportunity for him to test the waters, for him to go out there into these key places like Pennsylvania and Michigan that are going to be battlegrounds in 2028, but also to Iowa and New Hampshire. Even Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, who has been touted as a potential presidential candidate, says that if J.D. Vance wants it, he probably has it, the nomination in 2028, but we will see. 2.5 years is actually a very long time in politics.
Mally, I want to give you the floor. We're out of time, but if you can just give us a quick beat before we head out.
Yeah, I think J.D. Vance is going to be the nominee. I know there's a lot of speculation about Marco Rubio, but usually the vice president, if they want it, will become the nominee. And I don't think Marco Rubio runs, period, if J.D. Vance runs. So I think J.D. Vance will get the nomination. But if I'm J.D. Vance, as much as a Trump endorsement is a strong signal, I would think he would not want Trump to endorse just so it looks more like he earned it in the primary and it wasn't bequeathed to him.
All right. Thanks for weighing in. Both of you, Republican strategist, Alex Zdan, Democratic strategist, Mally Smith. Appreciate it.